Today on Let's Fish TV, we're at Oneida Lake here in central part of New York. And let me tell you guys, this place is absolutely loaded with a bunch of different species of fish. And we're gonna be targeting smallmouth bass, but I'm gonna tell you right now, there's a likely chance that we're gonna catch a lot of different types of fish today in this week's episode. Let's Fish TV is on the air right now. Got him!
Look at that big fella right there.
Oh my goodness.
Woo! Look at that slab of rooski.
There we go. There's one. Oh, that's a good one there. Welcome to Let's Fish TV. I'm your host, Andrew Upshaw. Today we're at Oneida Lake. Oneida Lake is located in central part of New York, and it is easily one of my favorite lakes in the country. This lake is loaded with a bunch of different species of fish, from walleye, drum, catfish, but today we're going after smallmouth bass, and this place is absolutely loaded with a bunch of them. We'll also have this week's fishing report from your local region from our insider reporters. Meantime, I'm gonna get the boat launched, get all my Lawrences powered up, and we'll see y'all here in just a minute, hopefully catching a big old bass. All right guys, we're getting ready to head out there on Oneida Lake, and when I look at the deep dive app, there's one particular thing you always have to look for when you're up here, and I don't care if you're on Champlain, Oneida, St. Lawrence River, Ontario, just to name a few, and that is the wind feature function of the app, because at any given time, the lake can get really big and really dangerous. And you know, Oneida's not as much as the dangerous aspect as some of the others are, but today, just for instance, the wind changed 4 different directions and just so swirling all around, and understanding how to set up drifts based off of wind direction on spots that you have like rock piles and things is vitally important. But let's just say, for instance, we're on Lake Ontario. You need to make sure that wind's not gonna come up late in the afternoon and trap you out there on the lake. So always pay attention to that wind effect function on the deep dive app, and it will save your bacon if you head up on this neck of the woods. But we're gonna get out there. I promise you one thing, guys, we're gonna smoke them today. There's one. That's a better one. Oh yeah, there we go. On the old Carolina rig. And they ain't a great big one, but man, these fish are fun, dude. Today we're at Lake Oneida. This is a lake in the southwestern part of New York, and it's a place that I really enjoy fishing because I can do a bunch of different things here to catch bass. And right now what we're doing is we're dragging a Carolina rig like what we do back home, but doing it in a little bit different way. And we're gonna talk about that today. Try to get this fish in. I mean, like I said, he ain't even a big one, but golly, these fish fight like crazy. It's still a good one though. There we go. Nice little fish. And you can kind of see what he's around, and that's that grass. Oh, come here, fish. Barely had him hooked. There we go. Not a bad fish, though. But guys, today we're at Oneida, throwing a Carolina rig, mixing it up a little bit, and catching some bass. But let's get this fish back real quick, and we'll talk a little bit about where we're at and what we're doing. Not a bad fish to start the day. You know, here at Oneida, I've been here quite a few different times now. It's always serves a different element of trying to catch fish. You know, one thing that we're dealing with today is there's actually more grass here than there typically is on some of these rock veins that I typically catch them on. And there's a lot of different ways that you can approach catching fish here. And that's what we're gonna walk through today. You know, obviously the first fish came on a Carolina rig. We'll break down the bait here in just a little while, but I'm gonna tell you guys, anytime you come to New York, I don't care what body of water you go to, whether it be the St. Lawrence River, Cayuga, Ontario, coming here to Oneida. I mean, there's so many great places to fish, and you can really kind of hit all of them in one big run. So I'm gonna get back to it. The fish are biting here at Oneida, and let me tell you guys, there's nothing better than catching big smallmouth. So I'm gonna get back to it. We'll see y'all here in just a second.
Hi everybody, and welcome to this week's Lone Star Lakes, brought to you once again by Skeleton Optics. Veteran owned, Zeiss lenses, discount code, super lightweight, super comfortable. Get yours today and see the difference. Now this week we're gonna start night fishing for bass on our newest lake, Lake Bodark. We don't really have a pattern yet because this is the first time you've been able to really do much night fishing on the lake, but there's a couple of things you need to know. You're not going to see the boat docks. You're not going to see the green lights. What you are going to look for are the road beds, main lake road beds leading into the lake and into the deeper water with the trees and brush lining each side. That's where you're going to want to start your night fishing adventures. Use your buzz bait up very shallow at first and then rotate through your nighttime baits like your black blue Colorado bladed spinner bait, and then a small crankbait also in black blue, and finally your Texas rig 10-inch power worm in either blue fleck or red shad. Work from the shallowest to the deepest water. Work all those road beds where they come down into the lake, and you will catch some nighttime Bodark bass. Now here at Eagle Mountain Lake, the sand bass are schooling, and you'll want to look for them on the drops, on the bigger points, dropping into deep water out in front of the docks. A lot of times they'll move up shallow and work those bait fish out in front of the docks. Sometimes they're a little further off the docks, 50, 60 yards out into the main lake. But look for the schooling sandies, throw your top waters, throw your slabs and spoons at them. You'll catch plenty of Eagle Mountain sand bass. That's this week's Lone Star Lakes. Check us out on Facebook, Lone Star Lakes.
I caught one off my graph. Well, ain't that little. I thought he was way smaller than that. You know, everybody talks about forward-facing sonar, but I was looking at my 2D there and saw a couple of them sitting under the boat, and here we are. Here we go. Not a bad little fish right there. There we go. On the drop shot, and it just came out of his mouth just like that. Guys, today we're at Oneida, and this is what you would consider a small Oneida bass. That's how big some of these fish get. You know, but the one thing that you got to pay attention to, and I don't care what part of the country you are, is your water temp and how the fish are setting up. You know, as the summer progresses, as fish start moving offshore, it's important to note how high's the water temp, what the weather's going to be that day. It's going to be high, sun, and hot, or we're going to have a cold front roll through, whatever it may be. Today, the water temp's in the 80s, so it's a higher water temp up here. So it's forcing these fish to get out, isolated boulders off the bank. And quite honestly, I'm just using my side scan capabilities, finding these rock boulders, and using 2D sonar. I'm going old school here, using 2D sonar and dropping a drop shot on them and catching them. Caught a really good one earlier on a Carolina rig, and I'm kind of mixing it up with both rigs right now, and that's what's important. And I'm gonna break that down for you here in a little while. And a lot of times you'll see me up here, and I'm actually fishing with 2 rods at a time. In fact, this one right here is hung, and so, you know, well, it was hung. Is it still hung? Yeah, it's still hung. All right, so I was dragging this one behind the boat, and I was about to turn around to go get it, and I looked down, saw those 2 fish on sonar, dropped down, caught the fish immediately. So if you're not in a tournament, obviously, always have your rod dragging behind the boat on this body of water or anywhere in New York, whether it be Cayuga, Oneida, St. Lawrence River, Ontario, Erie, anything like that. Always throw a rod back there and be surprised how many bonus fish you catch. But I'm gonna go get this unsnagged. We'll see y'all here in just a minute.
Let's Fish TV is proudly backed by Lose, Feel the Difference, Strike King, Tie One On, Glacier Outdoor, outdoors since 1982. Deep Dive, decode your lake.
Ooh. There we go. That's a big one, if that's a bass. And it could be. one on the other rod too. Gotta love it. There we go. Oh, no, he is back on there. Oh my gosh. It's a bad thing about having two going at once. That's a good little bass right there. Finally found them at the end of the day. Ah! Take it easy, lemon squeezy. There we go. Not a bad little fish. You know, as you can tell, I've got a bait dragging behind the boat right now. I've got this one, had a bite on both at the same time. And that's how it gets out here. You're gonna find little zones where these fish are piled up. And that's exactly what we found today. You know, anytime you get to catch good smallmouth bass, it's always a lot of fun. But you know, one thing that we don't talk about enough is having the right equipment. Oh, I had him. Did you see that? Wild. But having the right equipment for your stuff. You know, like when it comes to a drop shot, I have found a rod that I've absolutely fallen in love with, and that's this one right here. It's a 6'9". This is a Team Lou's Elite rod. It's a 6'9" medium light. And for drop shot fishing, it loads perfectly. It loads perfectly, and it has that perfect parabolic bend on the tip of the rod, just like that. So it allows you to load up, and then you can catch those fish. But when it comes to fishing other baits, you know, I'll throw a medium action rod, a 7-footer, things like that. But with this drop shot, this Team Lou's Elite definitely fits that bill for me and does exactly what I need it to do. And pairing it up with a 300 size custom light by Lou's is exactly what I do with all of my spinning combos. I like that 300 size. You know, you'll have a lot of guys say, well, I like the 200, it's lighter. It is, but the 300 spool's a little bit bigger, and it'll help reduce that line twist significantly. And that is a humongous key when you're out here targeting fish, especially a lot of times a lot of fish with a spinning rod, is having that little bit larger spool. You know, and what we're doing today is taking this drop shot and actually just pitching it around. There's a lot of little scattered grass holes and boulders all around through here. And we're just kind of picking it off and catching fish after fish. Not using sonar really. I mean, just kind of just flipping around in places that I've caught them before. So I'm going to get back to it. Fishing's hot. And I mean, I almost doubled up right there, guys. So you can't ever complain when fishing's like that.
What's up, guys? Captain Taylor Burrell here with this week's fishing report. Man, down here on the coast, it's been really beautiful. Been a little windy, so it's a little bumpy in the mornings going out, but it's slicking out all day, becoming really beautiful. Let's start way offshore. Our party boats, they've been doing really good, catching lots of tunas, vermilion snappers, a couple groupers here and there. Captain Greg, one of our boats the other day, had a nice wahoo. Our red snapper been doing really good. Bite's getting a little bit better, it seems like. I had a really nice mahi yesterday, along with some really nice snapper. Further inshore, our state water trips are doing really good as well, catching lots of sharks along with our state water snapper. At the jetties, speckled trout bite has been phenomenal, been really good. Even up in the bays, they're doing really well on them, getting out and wading. And remember, guys, if you want to come fishing down here in Galveston, Texas, give us a call. Thanks.
Ooh. There we go. That's a big one. If that's a bass, and it could be. Oh, I think that is a bass. There we go. And that's exactly why you drag that bait behind the boat just like that. If it's not a bass, it's a big drum. And I will say this place has a lot of really big drum in it. I have a feeling this is a drum, guys. He just realized he was hooked, I think. Definitely not a bass. We're going the wrong direction here. Because if that is a bass, it's an 8-pounder. And I'm not saying we won't catch one of them out here, but I just don't foresee it. They all live in the same place. Like, I haven't even turned this fish yet, which makes me think even more that it's a drum. Or a catfish. They do have some big catfish here too. Oh, it's a drum, and it's a giant drum. Check this out, guys. Look at the size of this big joker. You know, I brought my wife out here one time to Oneida, and I was telling my cameraman that, you know, we still have a picture of her drum that she caught on this lake because it was so big. And look at the size of that thing. And every time I come here, I catch monstrous drum just like that. Look at the size of that big joker. Holy crap. Not really fishing for those, but a lot of fun. I'm gonna tell you right now, you're not gonna say no when that drag starts screaming like that. And look at the size of that monster. Oh, there you go, you prehistoric beast. Ugh. Awesome. Still awesome. So much fun to catch fish.
Let's Fish TV is proudly backed by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Have fun out there. Power Pole, total boat control. Balls Out, made in the USA, heavy-duty mounts for your fish finders. Rely on what powers you.
Something big though. Oh, it's a big smallmouth. Oh gosh, I didn't realize it was a smallmouth. Fantastic. Ooh, I think that was a bass maybe, or a wally, whatever it's got. I don't think it's realized it's got hooked, which means it could be a drum. It's something big. This is pretty shallow for a cat, meaning it's probably a drum. I don't know what this is. It's not fighting quite like a drum would. It's something big though. Oh, it's a big smallmouth. Oh gosh, I didn't realize it was a smallmouth. Come here, fish. He's got a weird shaped back. Come here, come here, come here. Oh, come here. Almost had him. Ah! Look at this fish. Look at the shape of that one. It's got like a big crick in his back and just big fat fish. My goodness. I swear on everything, I thought that was a big drum. What a fish. He's got rocks in his bellies. I mean, like, golly, it's a hard belly. Probably been eating a bunch of crawfish or gobies. But man, what a day. You know, I've talked about it a few times today, but having that bait dragging behind the boat is a big key. I mean, you obviously, all you tournament guys out there, you can't do that. I get it. Wish I could in certain situations, but you just can't. When you're out here fun fishing and you're trying to figure out what the bite is, it's always a good idea to have different presentations going on at the same time. In this situation, I was using, oh, I got my drop shot still out too. Just making sure, you know, didn't want it to pull it in. But forever. I mean, I don't care if I was on St. Clair, St. Lawrence River, here at Oneida. I always like to have a couple different baits out there so I know if they're feeding on the bottom, feeding up. You know, we got a little bit more breeze picking up, but it was dead slick calm, and that's when I go to that little finesse tube, that little Strike King Bitsy tube. When it's more calm, when it's windier, I can pick up that Carolina rig rage bug. But it's paying attention to details of the day, and every day appears a little different, and you kind of have to feel around until you figure out how to catch those fish. We're starting to really figure it out now. Of course, it's a little bit too late, but the fishing is hot here, guys. Like, if you ever want that bucket list trip, you need to come up here. But you know, when you start talking about finding these fish, this is a big key. Probably we don't talk about it enough, really, because a lot of times when you watch this show, you see us roll up and we just start catching them, right? One of the big keys to catch them here is using your side imaging, your side scan on my Lowrance HTS Pro. I run a 12-inch, and what you do is you get on these big flats, these big expansive flats, and you just side scan for hours at a time. And you're finding little bitty differences in rock and grass, and finding these little rock piles is the big key. And I've done it on this place a lot. I mean, I've fished this place quite a few times. So us just rolling up and catching them isn't just as easy as it sounds. You gotta put your homework in. You've gotta go out there and work a little bit. But that side scan of capability on the Lowrance HTS Pro, It allows you to see in and around the grass beds and find those little bitty rock spaces that are around, and that's where those fish really like to hang out. So if you ever get a chance to visit up here, Lake Champlain, just to name a few, you need to make sure you have good side imaging capabilities, and I'd recommend the HTS Pro from Lowrance because it's just a really, really good unit. So.
Let's Fish TV is proudly backed by Lowrance, the ultimate fishing system. Alabama beaches. You'll get it when you get here. Fish tips. Connect with the experts to find fish fast. Here's today's Right Stuff, presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors.
All right, guys, today on your Academy Right Stuff, I use 3 primary methods to catch my fish. You know, the very first one, and probably I would equally say the best one, was the drop shot. Anytime you come to New York or fish for smallmouth, a drop shot is killer. 3/8 ounce Strike King tungsten weight. The Strike King half shell, green pumpkin purple. When I come to Oneida specifically, I really like green pumpkin style baits. This one in particular works really, really well. 1/0 hook. This is actually 8-pound P-line tactical, 10-pound braid. That 6'9" medium light, that elite rod is really what I turn to. You know, when I got to drifting behind the boat, you know, because I was using a couple rods at once quite often and caught quite a few fish, I was actually using a little Strike King tube. This is our little 2.75-inch coffee tube. It's the perfect size tube, green pumpkin purple once again, just like the drop shot bait, with a 1/4 ounce Strike King finesse tube head, 10-pound line though. This is a big key. Anytime you're dragging the bottom on Oneida or a lot of these places up here, you have a lot of zebra mussels. So if you get too heavy a line or too light a line, you're gonna break off all the time. And even 10 is a little light on it, but it does get the job done. But I'm gonna tell you guys, this is the one I've been wanting to talk about the whole time. I've had it dragging behind us the entire time. And that is the Carolina rig. You know, back home, Texas, down south, you know, everybody talks about fishing a Carolina rig, but when I come up north, I fish it a little bit different. You know, up here, I use 30-pound braid, and that's a really big key because it allows you to feel those rock veins a lot. And as you can tell, this is a shorter than average leader. This isn't a really long leader, maybe 1.5 feet, 2 foot. And I'll just keep chopping it down. Usually I start at 3, and as I have to retie, I just keep it that length. 3/4 ounce Strike King weight. But this is the cool thing. This is the bait that I'm using right here. This is actually a Strike King Rage Bug. Smoke purple, you can use green pumpkin, smoke purple, anything natural looking, those fish really like it. And only a 10-pound leader, okay? And so what that means is when you rig that Carolina rig up, you want to make sure and have a little bit lighter action rod. This is a 7/6 medium heavy fast action custom light rod. This is actually our Carolina rig rod with a 7.5-to-1 Team Lose Pro TI. But I'm gonna tell you, I want you to watch something real quick. Watch this drag on here. So you see how loose that drag is? That is imperative when you're throwing a Carolina rig up here, especially with braid, that you don't rip the hook out of the fish's mouth. So if you follow those couple tricks that I taught y'all today, you'll be able to come up here and catch fish left and right. But guys, I gotta drive home. It's about a 23-hour drive for me. So I'm gonna start hitting the road. And until next time, I'll see you on the water.